It's okay. That's how you learn. Mistakes makes your brain grow. Okay, so we're continuing with percent increase and decrease today. So we're coming back to the tables. Monday we did 1-step tables. Today we're going to 2-step tables. So as long as you understood 1 step, you should be fine with your 2 steps. Okay, remember, so moving forward to next week, and once we get to the quiz, that chart that you guys wrote in your notebook that has your percent increase and decrease keywords, those are going to help you today with your classwork, and it'll also help you figure out, like, if you're not sure which step is increase and which step is decrease. So let's go ahead and read it. Make sure you're writing the whole example down. You're going to need it in your notebook. So it says the regular price of a computer monitor is $185. It is on sale for 15% off. Sales tax is 8%. What is the cost of the computer monitor after the discount and sales tax are applied? So notice that we have 2% in there. So 2 steps. Because we're not, and let me say this because I know I forgot to say it in first block. You never want to add both percents together. So just because, it'll make it easier and faster, it will guaranteed 9 out of 10 give you the wrong answer. So don't ever add them together, subtract them from each other, just don't do it. So the regular price of the computer monitor is $185. It is on sale for 15% off. So if it's on sale for 15% off, is it an increase or a decrease? It is a decrease. So our first step is a decrease. Sales tax is 8%. So sales tax, is that an increase or a decrease? And if you don't know, check your chart. Check the chart that's on the board. Sales tax. It is an increase. Good. That's what you have the chart for. So that way, if you're not sure, go back and check it. That's what we have our notes there for. Remember, all of our quizzes, assignments are open note. What is the cost of the computer monitor after both the discount and sales tax are applied? So we're going to start the first step like normal. So what is our original amount? $185. So we got $185, and is our first step an increase or decrease? It is a decrease. And do we know our new amount? No. We do not. Easy peasy. And I just remembered you guys did this with me last week, right? You guys started me off on charts last week. Okay, so second row. We know that our original amount percent is what? Our original amount. 100%. And our 100% is what as a decimal? It is 1. So I'm going to put the 1. And the reason I'm not going to put both of them on today, so at this point we know that 100% is 1. And because we're going to be writing so much more on our chart, I don't want us to get confused. So for our decrease, what is our decrease percent? 15%, which is what as a decimal? Point what? Who said it? Point 15. Just 0.15. Good. So 0.15. And remember, if you're not sure, or if you think it's one thing, you can go back and check in your calculator and do 15 divided by 100 just to check. Are we adding or subtracting? We are subtracting because it's a decrease. So what is 1 minus 0.15. I think I heard someone say in the back. Point what? Not 0.75. 85. 75 would be if this is 25. Okay, so we've got 0.85. Now for our last step of our first step. Okay, so remember, we're taking our decimals and we multiply them by what? What do we multiply them by? So when I go to write them down here, I'm multiplying them by my original amount. Oh, someone was about to say it. I'm not sure who. Paulina.
I was going to say it.
Thank you. So for our first box, I'm multiplying what by what? Well,
115. The original.
thank you. So for the first box, so 1 times 185. Remember, we're doing it for each box. And then for the next box, we have 0.15 times 185. And then for our final, or good. So that's our first step. You know how normally we're going to go and we're going to multiply to get our final answer? We're not going to do that yet. So when we have our two-step, you can, but we don't do that because we're going to need those equations to help us do the second step, okay? And this is why I stress it that you guys make sure and you write these things down. So I'm just going to put these little dots or slash marks there just so that you know that's where our first step ends. And now we're going to go into our second step. So our second step is going to be just like our first step, except we call it our second step. So our new original amount for our second step is going to be this right here. So I want you to think about it in your head. So if I was going to the store to buy a computer, right? And my computer is on sale for 15% off. Or even if I was going to the store and I was going to buy a dress. Dress is really cute. It's 15% off. So the first thing they're going to do is take the discount off, right? And then you get to the register and they're like, okay, you also have to pay tax. Are you paying tax on the original amount or are you paying it on the discounted amount? You're paying it on the discounted amount. So that's what we're doing by doing these steps. So here we have our discounted amount, except you don't see it as like the money amount, you're seeing it as the equation, okay? So I'm going to bring this equation over here, and that is going to be my new original amount for my second step. That's what it would be, yes. But we're not going to solve for it. We are not going to solve for the actual money amount until we get to the very end. I'm just going to put the equation there. So, second step, is it going to be an increase or a decrease? It is an increase because it's the sales tax. So I'm going to go ahead and put an increase in there. And I don't know what my final amount is. So I'm putting a question mark in there again. So notice how the second step is starting off to be almost just like the first step, okay? Now, we always say our original amount is what percent? 100%, which is going to be what decimal? Is 1. So I'm putting a 1 in there. Keeps going just like the other one. So our increase is going to be what percent? Which is what decimal? 0.08. Perfect. I didn't have anybody say 0.8. Score. Are we adding or subtracting? We are adding. So plus equals 1 plus 0.08 is 1.08. Perfect. Just like the first step. See? Try not to make it too complicated. Like I made it complicated in my head this morning. I don't know why. Anyway. Okay, so again, we're going to do the same thing we did with our first step. We're going to multiply our decimals by our original amount. So I'm going to go ahead and take 1 times 0.85 times 185. So you can either add, sometimes what I like to do is add the decimal at the end, but you can add it in the front too. So 1 times 0.85 times 185, or whatever combination of that. Sometimes, and I'm not saying this one. Well, I'll show you in the next one. Okay, so for the next one, what numbers am I multiplying together? Okay, hold on. What amount are we multiplying together? So 0.08 times 0.85 times 185. You're giving me the money amount. I got you. And then for our last one, we do what? The same thing, but with which one? 1.08. Now we solve. So once you get to this last step right here, you're going to use your calculator to go ahead and solve for our final amount. So go ahead and do that in your calculators. So because it's 2 steps, we're only looking for the final amount. So you don't have to find the first and the second. It's good practice to do it, but you don't have to. The message that they put on today, and I keep wanting to say no. But if I delete it, like I would have to delete every message on its own. I tried the other day. Or not doing it. Multiplying these together versus we might put these together. So I don't want you to get confused and be like, none of my answer choices are there. So like for this, I want you to write it out like this. So you don't get confused, because then you're looking at your example thinking, I did something wrong, and you didn't. It's just that you wrote it a different way. Or you can write the other format underneath, so that you have them both. Okay, so what does it give us as our final answer? Perfect, 169.83. That's our answer, and then come up and you circle it at the top also. Make sure you're getting in the habit of circling that answer. Are we good on having it written down? We're good? You're good? Okay, let's go ahead and move on to our second one. Now, in hindsight, after we did it in first block, I'm like, I probably should have taken that first step and done it first, so that everybody was like super confused at the end. But they did understand how, but just a bit. Anyway, so baseball cards cost $3.79 a pack. There is 25% discount if 10 or more packs are purchased. Sales tax is 7%. If Terry bought 15 packs of cards, about how much did he pay? So baseball cards are $3.79 a pack. There is a 25% discount if 10 or more are purchased. Sales tax is 7%. If Terry bought 15 packs, how much did he pay? Okay, so first things first. There's a 25% discount. Is that an increase or a decrease? It is a decrease. Sales tax is 7%. Increase or decrease? Increase. Remember, I think it was Monday. So we did a problem sort of like this. Who can tell me what our original amount is? Okay, so that is per pack. How many packs did Terry buy?
10 or more.
Did he buy 10 or more? How many specifically? 15 packs. So what would I have to actually do to figure out what his original amount is? 15 times.
$56.85.
Thank you. Say that one more.
$56.85.
So $56.85. And one more time, just in case you didn't catch that. So each pack is $3.79. Terry bought 15. We want to make sure we account for each pack. So we have to do 15 times $3.79. So that's why I like to read it twice, to make sure I get all the information. Sometimes I got to read it a third time because I still forget the information the second time. You just want to make sure you get all the facts. So our original is $56.85. I want you to go ahead and finish this first step, do the second row, and the third row. This shouldn't be difficult. This is the same first step we've been doing since last week. If you feel comfortable enough to try the second step, go right ahead. If you're taking good notes, then that shouldn't be a problem. Remember, it is good practice to go back and look at your notes. There is nothing wrong with that. And that's not for you. That's for people at home. Make sure they know.
See, that's all. And then you need to change to show
I'm like, if that was what you were going for.
it's good to try and you're supposed to stay with
I'm stuck it again.
all right.
You think you want to try? Okay, go for it. Do it. Take the notes and be able to do it after. You know that you could just do that for Okay, just checking.
Okay, I see people trying. It looks good. Make sure you do the first row and the second row. So Christopher, yours looks good. Marco, same. It looks very good. Morelli, check your percent. Remember, it's decrease. So decrease is 25%. Your second step is 7%. Natalie, that looks good. Whoops. Keep going. Don't go down the column. Go across. Not you. I would have said your name. You know I would have said your name. Like Jasmine. Okay, Alex, I want you to check yours too. Your first and second columns are good. You put 1 minus 0.25, but then you added them together. So check that. Yes, Morelli, good. Marcos, check that number in the middle. To me, it looks like a 45. Wilfredo, keep going. It looks really good so far. Chris, you too. Masai, keep going. Looks good. Timerial, check that second row. Remember, you're coming back up to your original. Okay, so let's check it out. Let's walk through first, second, and third row. So we said increase or decrease for our first step. Decrease. Do we know our new amount?
No.
No, we do not. What is our original decimal? 1. Now, are we subtracting or adding? We are subtracting what decimal? 0.25. So I'm noticing some people are getting confused with their first and second. So we're going to try and problem solve that in our last problem. Some things that might help you make sure that you're doing the right percent with the right decrease or increase. Okay, so if I'm doing 1 minus, so remember, you have it written out kind of like an equation or like a number sentence, right? So you're doing 1 minus 0.25 gives me 0.75. So we're good there so far. Now, remember, I'm taking my decimals and I multiply with my original. So I'm taking 1 times what?
56.
Thank you. 56. Thank you. For my second box, for my discount, what am I multiplying?
25 times 56.5.
Sounds perfect. And then for our third and final box,
0.75 times 6.5.
looking good. Okay, so we have our first step. For those of you at home, check yours with mine. If you have something that's a little off, make sure to fix it. Let's look at our second step. So for our second step, what is our new original? What's my new original, Diego? What's my new original?
Twice.
Keep going.
75.
Times.
56. 185.
Perfect. Our new original is 0.75 times 56.85. So sometimes I like to kind of circle it and then, but then that kind of gets a little crazy in there. Okay, so for our second step, increase or decrease? Increase. And do we know our final amount? No. Okay, so again, we're starting over. What is our original decimal? 1. So for our increase or sales tax, what is 7% as a decimal? 0.07. And are we adding or subtracting? We are adding. Good. So we have 1 plus 0.07 gives us
1.7.
Sounds fabulous. Now, again, I'm taking my decimals and I'm multiplying by the original. So I have 1 times 0.75 times 56.85. Oh my God, this is a little wet.
Get in my mouth.
Oh,
Gross.
and the next one
For my next one, yes.
is 0.07 times 0.75 times 56.85.
Perfect. 85. Okay, so I'll tell you the last one. And for my last box,
1.08 times 0.7.
oh what?
7
Thank you.
7
Times.
times 75 times 0.75
Mm-hmm.
times 56.85.
Perfect. So now you're going to solve. Okay, so a few things I want to make sure you know. So whether it's EOGs or a quiz, a couple things that you might run into when you're looking at your answer choices. Your answer choice might be A, the ending answer. I'm gonna wait until you guys figure it out so that I can make sure you're like looking at it. I need you to look at me. Like right here. We got it. Okay, so your answer might be A, the end answer. Okay. Your answer might also be B, all these numbers like that in that multiplication. Or your third way for the answer to be written might be where they take these two decimals, they multiply that together, and so it would be these two times 56.85. So when you're doing these problems, at this point, I think that we're extremely successful with what we're doing. So make sure, I don't want the first thing that pops into your head to be, oh my God, I got it wrong. I want the first thing in your brain to be, oh, let me check to make sure that it's not just another version of my answer. So make sure you check those things before you move on to, okay, maybe I need to check my work, okay? So what did we get?
45.6.
45 point, it's money. Thank you. 0.60. So this is our answer, $45.60. Remember it says about how much. So which one of our answer choices is the closest to ours? A, $45. So make sure you submit, and then we're going to go ahead and move on. And I'm going to show you a trick. Not a trick. It's more like just, no, it's more like just a side note for those of you that are having trouble keeping straight which one's the first step and which one's the second step. Okay, so we're going to look at one more. Yeah, we're going to look at one more. I'd rather do it. Your classwork is literally going to take 5 minutes. Mr. James purchased a lawnmower that originally sold for $275. The lawnmower was on sale for 15% off. The sales tax is 7.5%. How much did Mr. James pay for the lawnmower? So, if you feel like you're having a hard time keeping track of what is your first step and what is your second step, I recommend doing this. So off to the side, you write 1, you write 2. We're going to read it one more time. Mr. James purchased a lawnmower that originally sold for $275. The lawnmower was on sale for 15% off. So is sale an increase or a decrease? It is a decrease. So I'm going to come up here, put decrease 15%. I know now that my first step is a decrease 15%. The sales tax rate is 7.5%. Is that an increase or decrease? It's an increase. So on number 2, increase 7.5%. So I highly recommend that you do that if you're having trouble pinpointing which is first and which is second. How much did Mr. James pay for the lawnmower? So go ahead and do first row, second row, third row. And I want you to try the fourth row. If you so feel and you can move past the fourth row, do that. Okay, I'm waiting on some people to start.